Good morning, everyone. So I'm having breakfast again. Ooh, focus. So I'm having breakfast again. This time it's a very large apple. You may be wondering, like, Mandy, are you going to be eating in every single one of these videos? The answer is yes. Yes, I will be eating in all of these videos. That's kind of the point. These videos aren't meant to be taken super seriously. You're supposed to be able to like watch these and focus. You're supposed to be able to like sit down and watch these while you're eating a meal alone and pretend we're eating together. Or something. Like I said last time, if you don't like watching people eat, then this video is not for you. Number one, I like food. Number two, in my last semester of college, I developed this habit where I stop feeling hungry and instead I just feel tired and get headaches. So these videos are supposed to motivate one or two things. I have to eat every day, and if I want to make a video, then I have to eat. So I don't know if that makes sense, but this is what I got. I didn't get this from one of my students, but wouldn't it have been funny if I did? In my last video, I filmed it on Friday right before my second batch of classes. And so I guess I'll tell you about how that went. I thought things would be okay because Thursday went pretty well, but instead all of Friday was more like, oh, is this what dying feels like? It was really rough. My classes definitely were more active. They had a lot more energy. They were a little bit more disobedient. I also had my 2 high school classes that day. A batch of 16-year-olds and a batch of 15-year-olds. My 16-year-olds are really, really quiet. They're pretty shy. They don't like to participate. And on that day, they didn't have their books, so I didn't have a lesson for them because I was just really, really exhausted because I was still getting over jet lag and I just didn't want to deal with my brain wasn't working. So it was rough. That was a rough day. I ended up spending like a significant portion of like my 5-minute break between classes just kind of sitting in the bathroom, avoiding people. And then it was the weekend. So Saturday it rained like all day. I tried to go out and explore my town a little bit, but I was getting really wet, so I ended up just going to a cafe and drawing. And then I went back home and pretty much just laid on my bed and tried to get over my jet lag. On Sunday, I was a little bit more productive in my exploring of my city, if you can call it productive. I walked around a lot. I found myself like a half-hour walk away near like the local court. I was in like a pretty residential area. I didn't know where anything was. It was mostly just people's homes and then like some small restaurants. It didn't rain too much. It was sprinkling a little bit, but it was really gray like all morning. I went walking around the river behind my house, which was also super pretty. There were mostly like older people there, mostly because it was in the morning, but I think usually like that walking area is filled with just kind of older ajumas and ajushis. Still, it was really nice. I'll show you some video footage of that right now. I walked by a temple as well, and I don't know what it's for, but maybe I'll do some research on it later. And just like some other areas. While I was walking, I must have happened upon some kind of a cultural event for some ethnic group in my city, but I don't know what group. I didn't take any video of like me being near it because I felt a little self-conscious, but I do have a video of me like walking up to it, so if you listen closely you can hear like the chanting that was happening in the background. I think it was it might have been like Tibet or something like that. I really don't know. I don't know what the language was. But yeah, I ended up walking really, really, really far away. At one point I found a dog and followed it a little bit.
You're a cutie.
More towards sunset, I went to the water park, which is across the river from me, which is also really, really pretty. I went and sat down on one of the benches and I did some like preliminary sketches for Inktober because this was still in September. So I was doing some sketches for Inktober and it was sunny because it was at sunset. Like I was out at like kind of golden hour. And so I was wearing sunglasses. I think like excluding my hair, my appearance from like the nose down is pretty, I guess pretty Asian looking, because I get like my nose from my dad's side. While I was drawing, some women came up to me and they were talking to me, trying to give me some pamphlets. Pretty sure it was Jehovah's Witness pamphlets. So they came up to me and she was talking to me in Korean. She was giving me a pamphlet with like a sticky note written in Korean on it. And I looked at her, I was like, I can't read that. And they were like, what? I heard the other woman with her say like, oh, she's a English speaker. And I took off my sunglasses and they were like, oh, foreigner. So they like gave me the pamphlet without the sticky note and tried to direct me to the website. That was pretty funny. Then I went out and had dinner of dumplings with the other English teacher. And we walked around a bit. We went back to like the water park area and there was a fountain that was lit up, or it was maybe more like a splash pad. Anyway, it was really pretty. When I got like a light bulb drink. The guy at the street booth, like I tried really hard to like read what the light bulb drink was and he just kind of laughed at me while I struggled, but he was still really nice and we got through it. I bought it. But it was cool because it lit up at the bottom. I still have the container, but I don't know when I'm gonna have a glowing drink any other time soon. Monday and Tuesday classes went pretty okay since now I know my students and I'm a little bit more adjusted to them. And I started introducing games like Hot Potato and Four Corners, and I'm figuring out what they like, what they don't like, what their English levels are, and stuff like that. On Monday, the other English teacher and I met up with a former foreign English teacher from Australia. She does something else now because the other teacher was buying a phone from her for a Korean phone, and she actually had an extra Korean phone that she sold to me, so that was really nice of her. She was really cool and she gave me a lot of advice on teaching students, which I was really thankful for. I accidentally went into work early. I realized that I'm supposed to go to work at 1:30 and not 1 o'clock, but I was waiting out there at like 1 o'clock, hoping I could get in a little bit early because I brought all the wrong books home and I needed to work on my lesson plans. I ran into the marketing director of another school who was going to have a meeting with our school director. Her English was really good and I was talking to her. Apparently the school that she does marketing for has schools in the Philippines, which was really cool because my dad's from the Philippines. And so we were talking about that and how, you know, some Korean students go to that school in the Philippines because obviously it's closer than any English-speaking countries. On Wednesday was a national holiday, so I actually had the day off from work, which is great. That was yesterday. So yesterday I wanted to try out the Busan metro system. And so I got on the train and I just picked a random stop. My theory was that if I got off at places where there were like junctions where the subway lines met, maybe there would be something interesting there. I don't know why. I just figured that like, oh, maybe if two subways are going to this one spot, it's important. That wasn't necessarily true for 2 out of 3 of the stops that I went to. But the first stop I went to, I walked around and I was like, this is not interesting. This is kind of boring. This is just random part of the city. Parts of it gave me like mad Chicago vibes. Just, I don't know what it was. Maybe like the sky in combination with like the way the streets are. I don't know, but it felt very familiar in a way to me. So I walked around and I went and sat down at a cafe for a little bit called Harry's Cafe, and there were like 2 people in there and the barista wasn't even behind the counter because it was a national holiday, so nobody was going to that cafe, but she had to work. So she was like sitting down at one of the tables on her laptop and she like saw me came in and was like, oh, foreigner. And I asked her like, oh, can I get a milk tea? And I sat down like around the corner. And she came with the milk tea to me with a tray, and on the tray was also like some crackers and like a cookie, and she was like, this is for you. I was like, oh, thank you. And so like, you know, I sat down and I was drawing my Inktober drawing for that day. The barista also came by with her phone with a translation that was like, how tasty is the milk tea? And I was like, oh, it's very tasty. So she was really, really sweet. And then maybe an hour later, she came back with like a sleeve of Oreo cookies and was like, these are for you. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And then like a couple of minutes later, she came back with like a glass of lemonade for me. And I was like overwhelmed. I was like, you're so nice. Why are you doing this for me? And then not too long after that, she came back with her phone and it said like, oh, it's a national holiday. You have to leave because the cafe was closing early. And I was like, oh, no, don't worry. So I left, but she had been so nice that I left her like a little doodle note that said thank you on my tray as I was like giving back my glasses. And I tried to like sneak out after that, so like she couldn't catch me after I had given her that note, but I needed Wi-Fi to like figure out where I was gonna go next. So I like stood outside, like not even too far down the street at an E-Mart with 24-hour like free Wi-Fi. So like while I was on my phone, she like came out of the cafe and like caught me and like thanked me for giving her the note, and I was like, oh, no problem, thank you. So yeah, that was cute. So I had like kind of accepted like, oh, there's nothing interesting at this stop, so I was gonna get back on the metro and maybe find somewhere else to go. But while I was underground getting ready to go onto the train, I like looked at the signs of seeing like what was around, what was nearby, and on one of the signs it said Gupo Market, and I was like, what? Hold the fuck up, there's a market here? And so I like looked for the exit that was leading to the market, and I went to the exit, and like I got out and I was like, how am I gonna find this market? Am I gonna be able to read any of the signs? Am I gonna be able to ask anybody? But no, it was like right around the corner. It was like this big extensive street market, so there was like fresh food, there were live fish, there were so many people. They were all much older than me. I don't think I saw very many people my age there, selling like all kinds of stuff, mostly food, but there were also like clothes and other things there. There was so much that I wanted to get footage of, but it was so crowded, and I was already standing out a lot because there weren't any other foreigners there. There were even like little birds and stuff. At one point I passed by like an entire decapitated cow's head, and I'm gonna show you the video of it. It's gonna be like 2 seconds, so if you're squeamish, look away. Yeah, that was really freaky, and I'm sure like I stood out a lot because of the way that I was like looking at everything and the way that I just looked, but it was really cool. That was a really cool find. There was also some like really cool street art nearby that I saw. One was like this big portrait of a guy, and like other like, smaller art that was elsewhere, which I haven't seen a lot of street art in Korea, so that was really cool. And then also nearby was like some shopping areas, and I finally like went and bought something at one of the stores. It was a stationery store, of course, so I couldn't resist. I bought some pens, and I finally found a flash drive because I really needed one of those. The view from the train was really pretty of the city. At some points we would be going over water, and you could just see the mountains and the sunset, and it was just really beautiful because I was going by during the sunset, and I'm sure I looked really weird taking a video out the window, but I really liked it. It's always cool. I really like seeing cities like from trains. It's one of the best ways to like kind of like really look around and really take in like the architecture and the scenery and stuff like that. I got off at another junction, but there wasn't really anything there immediately nearby, and I was kind of freaked out because the sun was starting to set, so I got back on. I got off at another junction, and at that point it was nearing like 8 o'clock, and I hadn't eaten anything except for half an apple and some crackers that I had gotten at the cafe. So I picked a restaurant to stop at, which I think is called Busan Pekban, which I'm not entirely sure, but that's what the Wi-Fi said. I went in and I like told him like, oh, I'm one person, and so he showed me the menu and like the 3 items on the menu that you can order if you are eating alone, if you're a single person. And I like looked at it for like a second, and he left, and then a woman came by like ready to take my order, and I was like, this one. I like pointed at something on the menu, not entirely sure what it was, but she said like bulgogi, so I was like, oh, okay, I know what bulgogi is. They brought me my side dishes, and one of the side dishes was just like an entire fish, and I had no idea how to eat it. I like tried some of it and it tasted like the entire sea, and I didn't have room to like continue trying to eat it because my bulgogi came, and it was pretty good. I'm sure like if I was grilling it myself, if I wasn't eating there alone, you know, it would have that good flavor, but it was still really good. And I was very hungry, so I was able to finish it. I went over to the cafe next door. It's a 24-hour cafe called Holly's Cafe, and I got another drink. I got a green tea hollychino. The cafe was really cute. The staff was pretty nice. It was getting pretty late and I was getting pretty tired, so after I'd finally finished my Inktober drawing at that cafe, I got back on the metro and I went home. Which, it wasn't hard to get back home because I picked that junction because it intersected with the line that goes back to my town, and Yangsan is the last stop on that line, so I didn't really have a problem getting back. You guys have just been sitting watching me wave around like a slowly shrinking like apple core, but now the video is done. I don't have anything else. I'm gonna work out my lesson plans and I'm gonna go to my next class. So wish me luck with my students, even though by the time this video comes out, I will have already had that day. But yeah, that's all there is there. So I hope you guys have a great day too. Thanks for watching. Bye.